our 12th annual Film Fest here in downtown Nevada City, and I can't say we're wrapping up our weekend because we are in like day number 3, day number 4, something like that, Mike. You know, and the great thing about this festival is we bring together, really it's like the everyday people who've taken action in their lives around something that they really deeply care about. Sometimes it's regarding environmental issues. Sometimes it's action-oriented and focusing on the spiritual part, the spiritual activism. Sometimes it's even around animal activism. It's really acknowledging that we're all connected in one way or another. And my next guest, I'm super excited to have because he's focused on something, it's really an animal that we don't hear much about anymore, Mike. Mike Mease, he's the president of Buffalo Field Campaign. Saw your film last night, Buffalo Battle, which John Trudell, he's like the narrator. It's based on his poem. Am I getting this right, Mike?
That was the other film. That Buffalo Battle was about our work in the field protecting the buffalo, and Buffalo Wild was the one that John Trudell narrated.
That John Trudell did. Okay. I'm also making things up as I go along.
That's quite all right.
Mike.
I'm in that club.
So I was referring to Mike as the Buffalo Man, and Mike, you have given a voice to these incredible animals that used to roam our plains for many years. How long? I mean, and then pretty much almost wiped out.
Well, I mean, the buffalo is obviously a sad story that actually our history books did not lie to us about. We openly admit killing 30 to 60 million buffalo off continent North America. Unfortunately, they went out on a buffalo hunt, Teddy Roosevelt in the end, and they couldn't find any buffalo, and they finally located them in a remote spot known now as Pelican Valley inside Yellowstone Park. And initially, there were 23 left, period, of this.
23 buffalo?
Yeah, and so he immediately sent out the U.S. Cavalry to protect them, and then we started our whole national park system in protection of these sacred buffalo, and here we are 130 years later, killing them at the same behest and the same interest for, as I like to refer to them, the holy cow. Whenever a holy cow is involved with any of our wildlife, be it wolves, be it any species, the predators, the sheep, bighorn sheep, everything comes second to the holy cow. And, you know, so we feel, because I heard you speak of a sacredness, and obviously there is no bigger icon to the Plains Native Americans than this buffalo, and hence incredible warriors like John Trudell, who's heard us talk about this issue, and he went home that night and wrote this phenomenal poem that pretty much walks you through the history of these poor animals. And then I have the honor of traveling with Good Shield and Mignon, who are just phenomenal Native American musicians, and they turn these words into dancing movement. And then unfortunately I blew the whole thing by putting depressing video to it and told the story, but nonetheless,
it's a story that needs to be told.
And it's very effective, you know. But I think all too often we get lost in the narration and we forget to honor and look at what we're saving and show them in a reverence. And, you know, working with these sacred buffalo, knowing that this management plan is always trying to keep them to 3,000 animals. And, you know, the biggest misnomer I think in the world about the buffalo is currently in the United States there are in excess of 500,000, and you see them in every state. I mean, you see them in Golden Gate Park.
Golden Gate Park, that's where I've seen the buffalo.
But the reality is, of those 500,000 animals, less than 10,000 are genetically pure and not what we call beefalo. And you can't physically look at them and tell the difference. It's their genetic makeup that's so sacred. So of these less than 10,000 that are genetically pure, only the buffalo that are in Yellowstone have not been fenced in, domesticated, grass-fed. They still are
true,
buffalo.
Like wild, pure.
Exactly.
Where does your, you know, we all have our passions. Where do you think, Mike, what is it about the buffalo? Where does that stem from, where you've devoted so much of your life and work to this animal?
Well, I mean, just to spend time with them, you know, first off, it's like I really felt if we can't win this issue that we weren't lied to about in our history books, that, you know, where can we make change in today's world? And the beauty of the buffalo, I think, is a real microcosm of what's going on everywhere, and that's dividing and conquering us as human beings. When you look in the buffalo world, everyone counts as much as each other. They have leaders, but those leaders are true leaders, unlike ours, who just chase money and dollars and never do anything for the people or our future. The buffalo's job as a leader is to take care of the herd, to make sure the herd survives, and that's their sole purpose. And everyone in that herd is just as important as each other, and that's the mentality I think humanity needs to come to. I mean, it's been a beauty of depression, I guess you could say, this film festival, because it really does point out reality and just how you turn your head anyway. And what we're up against. Everyone has a plight, everyone has an issue, but we spend so much time in activism in the last couple of years, more than I've ever witnessed, where a form of activism is now criticizing activists. And it's like, we don't have room to divide and conquer each other. You know, you look at the movement of the Occupy movement, and if nothing else, they achieved the message of 99%.
Yes.
That's 1%, and that 1% dictates to us all. And they sit around and giggle as we infight and fight each other, because if the minorities ever could unite, we'd be the majority and could take this country back.
Yes.
But we're so busy infighting and looking for our differences. So, you know, people just have to find their passion and tell their brothers and sisters. And you know, you look at these new forms, you know, right now we're podcasting and iMovie, and people just, I call it McMe page, the Facebook things, because it's all about McMe, and look what I did, and I have all these friends that I've never met in my whole life, but they're my best buddies, and we're just disassociation, just the connecting.
Connection.
And what I empower people to do is utilize these tools. I mean, why not take your little McMe phone when you're taking a hike along the Yuba River, and you see someone polluting it, why not videotape that and put that on your McMe page and educate people and bring them in? Use these tools as an education way and to activate, because, I mean, really, does everyone in the world want our water to be polluted that we all need to drink? Does anyone in the world want to continue down this fossil fuel insanity where we pollute the air we all need to breathe? We got to have petitions and fight to know what's in our food. They're feeding us poison. I mean, the logic of humanity by our leaders is insanity. So as John Trudell likes to say, call me crazy, because, you know, we need to make this change, and we are the only people that are going to make this change.
Yeah.
So that's my thing to the viewer, to everyone, is like, find your passion and do something about it, because if you want to create change in this world, you have to be that change you want to create.
Can you speak, Mike, real quick to the power of having an event and festival like Wild and Scenic, and why it's so important for people to be connected to this?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, most of your film festivals, and you know, especially when animals and stuff like that, are all about the pretty little animals you can pet, and they never tell you the reality of what the situation behind these animals are. And I really am appreciated and have been honored to be here and have the opportunity to speak so much. Just that this opens people's eyes that, yeah, there's beauty left, but that beauty is shrinking daily. And if we're not a part of creating it for our children and their children, you know, it's like one admiration I have of Native peoples is that they look at how their actions affect 7 generations down the road and what they're going to leave their children, and we have no wisdom. Our government and our leaders are reactionary, they're not proactionary, and nothing is a problem until it's a crisis situation, and then we react. We need visionaries, we need people. It's like you hear pro-life, all these people, but they haven't done one thing to prolong life. It's like you're the oxymoron. So get together, people, unity through community, and we can make a change.
Can you finish this sentence for me? What empowers me is?
What empowers me is the next generation, because they're the only ones that give me hope. Because without our next generation being educated and having some vision of hope to look forward to, you know, and their ideas, their pureness, they're not clouded by the clutter, and they come through and they teach us, and we need to listen to them.
listening to Mike Mease. Mike, it's so great to have you here with us.
My
An
pleasure.
honor to speak with you and the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for doing that. Mike's referring to the ripple effects that happen. When you take one action, you have no idea who you might be impacting. It could be your neighbor. It could be someone 30 years from now. And I think if there's anything to take away from that, it's like stepping into your power and your passion and leading with that and knowing that you're influencing others, people you might ever not meet. So
Exactly.
thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be right back from the Wild and Scenic Film Festival.
Thanks.
That was great. Thank you,
So,
Mike.
my pleasure.
Yeah.